الحمد لله ربنا القدير القوي المتين أول الأولين وآخر الآخرين رب العالمين جامع الخلائق ليوم الدين فهو الحاكم بينهم بحكمه وهو أحكم الحاكمين أشهد أنه الله الذي لا إله إلا هو وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقرة أعيننا ونور قلوبنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله ونبيه وصفيه وخليله اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم صل وسلم بجميع الصلوات كلها عدد ما في علم الله على سيدنا محمد وآل من والاه في كل لحظة أبدا وبكل لسان لأهل معرفة بالله اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله صلاة وسلاما دائمين بدوام ملك الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد فيا عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فاتقوا الله وأحسنوا يرحمكم الله إن رحمة الله قريب من المحسنين Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, we thank Him, we glorify Him. We show Him our utmost gratitude for allowing us to gather on a blessed day at a blessed time and to worship Him. Oh Allah, we thank You for creating us and giving us guidance and giving us a means to worship You and teaching us about You through Your prophets. Oh Allah, we ask You to keep our hearts firm upon faith in You. We ask You to keep us on the straight path and to protect us and to protect all of our families and our children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in a hadith Qudsi on the tongue of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنِّ عَبْدِي بِي فَلْيَظُنَّ بِي مَا شَاءَ. I am according to my servant whatever his or her opinion of me is. So let them think of me whatever they will. That your dhan or your opinion of Allah affects the way that you see Allah manifest His character, His attributes in your life. So in Islam we have the concept of having a good opinion or a bad opinion of someone. Husn al-dhan or su' al-dhan. Husn al-dhan is when you have a good opinion of someone, if it's like your brother or your sister in the community, you think well of them, you try not to assume anything nefarious or anything evil about them, and even if you see a mistake or something that looks unfavorable coming from them, you come up with some excuse that maybe could explain that, and that's having a good opinion. In other words, you don't try to view that person as inherently bad, you just, you make excuses for them, you feel that their intentions are good, and even if you don't know what they're doing, you assume there's good in their life. Having a bad opinion is the opposite. That's where you're always assuming is something wrong and something is very suspicious and you're looking into someone negatively. And that's how we deal with people. But that same concept can also relate to how you relate to Allah. What is your relationship with Allah? Is it based on husn al-dhan or su' al-dhan? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in that hadith, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنِّ عَبْدِ بِي. I will be according to whatever my servant's opinion of me is, whatever it is they think of me. So, to have a good opinion of Allah would mean that in your heart you believe that Allah has your best interest in mind. You believe that Allah is wise and whatever He sends you in your life, it's out of His wisdom. And that it will somehow benefit you, whether in this life or in the next. And that even the trials and tribulations that you may face are part of His grand divine plan. And that also has some wisdom behind it, and there's some good in it for you. that if you have that outlook, which was the outlook that the Prophet ﷺ taught to his Sahaba of how they should look at the world, then you start to see the manifestations of that in every interaction, every moment of your day-to-day life. So if you're faced with something, you can easily put it in your mind that, okay, this must be something that Allah has planned. There must be some wisdom behind it. Why am I facing this difficulty or this challenge? There must be something behind it. There's some good in it. You can have some people, unfortunately, can express a bad opinion of Allah. And a bad opinion of Allah is someone who feels that Allah is out to get them for some reason, or that He doesn't want you to succeed. He's always trying to make you fail. He's always trying to keep you down. Some people have it so bad, even when they're blessed with good things in their life, they still are suspicious. Like, is Allah going to take this away from me? Maybe I should just avoid this. I shouldn't get into this because I'll just end up in disappointment. Having a very bad opinion of the one, your maker, the one who laid out your destiny, who sends you everything in your life, the hard and the easy, the so-called good and the so-called bad. It all comes from Allah. That's our theological understanding. We don't believe that there's Allah only sending good to the earth and then there's an equal rival in shaitan sending evil. Like, all of it in our belief is under the command of Allah. There is nothing outside of His knowledge or outside of His control. So in these days and times, I feel that this is a relevant concept because of a lot of our fellow brothers and sisters in the community are feeling a lot of stress these days. A lot of challenges internally. A lot of psychological turmoil. And it's understandable because we are in a time in this society, in this country, where perhaps the pressure is even stronger than it has been in the recent past. And there's a lot more that happens on the media, and there's a lot more that happens in the political realm, and it seems to bleed over and affect us. I was just, standing with my son at a grocery store checkout line, and in the checkout line there's all the magazines and the chewing gum and candy. And usually he asks me for a candy, or he wants to buy one of the chewing gums or one of the candies, and I usually have to go through a long negotiation and say no and tell him, about cavities or something. But this particular time, he didn't even ask me. He noticed one of the tabloid newspapers or news magazines, and on it was a picture of the president, and it said something about Muslim spies in our midst. And my son, he can read, he pointed to it and he said, "What does this mean?" And he looked at me with an expression on his face that for a moment I didn't even know how to respond. What do I say to a 6-year-old, looking at a newspaper? He doesn't know whether it's fake news or not fake news. It's a tabloid. It's one of these tabloids. On the same page is a story of an alien landing and someone else, seeing Elvis or something like that. So he doesn't know. He can't differentiate. But he sees this thing it says about Muslim spies, and he asks me, "What does it mean?" And in those moments, as a parent, it can be just uncomfortable, disconcerting. You're not even sure how to explain things. How do you talk about it without scaring the child, to make them feel that society looks at you suspiciously, that you're somehow not accepted here, even though your grandfather came here and your father was born here and you were born here, you're still somehow not part of the fabric. You're still somehow not welcome. And this is a common thing that many Muslims are experiencing in America right now. This is just one example of a common theme. And people that was a relatively mild situation. People have heard much worse things or been accused of things or insulted in their schools or in their workplace or at the airport, and they get certain humiliations just for being Muslim. So how do we react to this? How do we deal with this? And part of it is we want to just encourage each other, tell each other everything will be okay, it'll be all right, it'll work out in the end. And that can be helpful at times, but when it's overwhelming, stress, anxiety, and just constant attacks on your own identity, sometimes a different strategy is needed, another way to cope with the reality of the environment you live in. And that method of coping is intrinsic to the believer. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ فَأَمْرُهُ كُلُّهُ خَيْرٌ. How strange is the matter of a believer, for all of his affairs are good in his eyes. إِنْ ابْتَلَاهُ اللَّهُ الصَّبْرَ أَوْ إِنْ أَصَابَهُ الضَّرَّاءُ صَبْرَ وَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ سَرَّاءُ شَكَرَ وَمَا كَانَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا الْمُؤْمِنِ. أو كما قال the Prophet ﷺ said, how strange, how amazing is the matter of a believer. It's all good. If he's tried with something, given some tribulation or some test, he or she is patient. And if he or she is given some ease or some blessings, then they are very thankful. And so in their mind, it's all good. And one of the great scholars of Islam once said in an aphorism in one of the hikam, that if you are not drawn to Allah by the garlands of blessings, Allah might drive you to Him with the chains of trials and tribulations. مَنْ لَمْ يَأْتِهِ بِقَلَائِدِ الْإِمْتِنَانِ سِيقَ إِلَيْهِ بِسَلَاسِلِ الْإِمْتِحَانِ. That sometimes in your life, you're given positive and ease and uplifting things, and you feel thankful to Allah, and it helps you turn towards Allah. But for the most part, I would say, because of the nature of the human being, we get very neglectful. We forget easily the blessings around us. And for many of us, when we're in good times, we may not be as diligent in turning towards Allah, connecting to Allah, thanking Allah, remembering Allah, focusing on Allah. So sometimes Allah, out of His wisdom, will send you tests and tribulations. And in those moments, you wake up, and then you really turn towards Allah. You really ask Allah for help and for forgiveness. And that is actually a hidden blessing. Because He could have let you just wander off into La La Land, wander off into the abyss of neglectfulness and forgetfulness, and just be happy in your blessings, live your nice life, have your little home, your little family, your little career, and do what you will, and not think about Allah again. One teacher told me, he said, sometimes people get upset. They see certain people in the world, and they're not very nice people. In fact, sometimes they're very bad people, and they cause a lot of corruption in the world. And yet Allah seems to give them all the blessings they ask for, or all the blessings they want. Everything they ever wanted, they get. Whereas you might see someone righteous who does not get the opportunities and does not seem to get all those riches and those luxuries and those blessings. And this teacher told me, he said, it's because for some of those people, Allah deprives the believer because He loves to hear the believer call out to Allah. He loves to hear the believer calling out, saying, Ya Allah, I need your help. Ya Allah, please grant me this blessing or that blessing, Ya Allah. And we know that Allah will give it, whether in this life or He'll hold on to it and give it to you in the next life. But He loves to hear the call of the believer. But for some people who are unfortunate or wretched, Allah doesn't really like to hear them or want to hear them. He just gives them whatever they need, so they never call out. So many of the righteous predecessors in our tradition, they viewed test and tribulation as actually an honor, because the most tested people on the planet Earth were the prophets of God. All of the prophets, alayhim salam, received unbelievable tests and tribulations, things that the ordinary man or woman could not endure. But for them, it was a rank of honor. And He bestowed upon them blessings and blessings. And of course, their stature in the hereafter is unparalleled. So if many of our righteous people view that in this life, if you're tested and tried in that way, then Allah is trying to tell you something. He's trying to guide you towards Himself, towards Allah, so that you constantly turn towards Allah, remember Allah. Now, you would only think that if you had a good opinion of Allah. If you thought, there must be some reason behind this. There must be some wisdom behind this. Maybe the Muslims will become more strong in this type of situation. Maybe they will be waken up and become more aware and more unified and more organized and more involved in society and better contributors to society. Maybe we will step up and have more engagement with the larger non-Muslim society around us and become productive members who add value. Perhaps there's some long-term wise goal that we just cannot perceive right now. That is having a good opinion of Allah. That is something that you just remind yourself. I ask Allah to forgive us and to forgive all the believers. I ask Allah to rectify our hearts and purify our intentions. والله يقول بقوله يهتدي المهتدون جل جلاله وتعالت عظمته وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. وقال من عز من قائل قريم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وربك الغفور ذو الرحمة لو يؤاخذهم بما كسبوا لعجل لهم العذاب بل لهم موعد لن يجدوا من دونه موئلا. بارك الله لكم بالقرآن العظيم وثبتني وإياكم على صراط المستقيم أجارنا من خزي وعذابه الأليم أقول ما سمعتم واستغفر الله لكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. I ask Allah for forgiveness for all of us. Please take a moment and ask your Lord for forgiveness. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. أما بعد فعباد الله اتقوا الله. There's one example for me that really always reminds me of this concept of having a good or bad opinion of Allah. I go to nursing homes sometimes to do psychological assessments of patients, and these are people who are quite ill, they maybe cannot take care of themselves, and they're living in a skilled nursing situation. And you might come into a room and there's three guys in a room all on hospital beds, and it's a very small and kind of cramped place. And I'll come to the first person and ask them how they're doing, and this person will say, you know, they're very ill, they cannot go to the bathroom without help, and they're very immobile. And he's sitting in bed and he's saying, I can't believe this is my life. This is what it is. I'm so upset, it's so sad. I can't even use the bathroom by myself. Somebody has to help me. How demeaning is that? You know, they give me these food trays 3 times a day and it's horrible food, I don't like it. You know, my family doesn't visit me. Maybe like once a month my grandson will come and say hi, but that's it. What a wretched existence this is. How horrible. And then, oddly enough, I'll shift over to the next patient over, in the same exact situation, has the same chronic illness, same mobility problems, same chronic pain, and I'll say, how are you doing, sir? How are you doing today? And he says, you know, I'm good, you know, I mean, I can't really use the bathroom by myself, but, you know, thankfully there's somebody who comes and helps me every day to go to the bathroom. You know, I don't know how, I can't get my own food and cook, but you know what, they bring me 3 meals every day, I eat it up. And every once in a while, once a month, my grandson comes and visits me. I get to see him. You know, so it's not bad. I can't really complain. Same exact situation. Just two different perceptions of how they view it. And that's a choice you make. You choose how to view the world. And then Allah will make that a reality for you. However you decide to see this world, that will become your lived day-to-day reality. That's the choice that you have before you. I ask Allah to bless us, to protect us, to give us strength. اللهم لك الحمد شكرا ولك المن فضلا أنت ربنا حقا ونحن عبيدك رقا وأنت لم تزل لذلك أهلا يا ميسر كل عسير ويا جابر كل كسير ويا صاحب كل فريد ويا مغني كل فقير ويا مقوي كل ضعيف ويا مامن كل مخيف يسر علينا كل عسير فتيسير العسير عليك يسير اللهم يا من لا يحتاج للبيان والتفسير حاجاتنا كثير وأنت عالم بها وخبير. Oh Allah, we praise you, we thank you for everything. You are indeed our Lord, we are indeed your servants, and you will always be deserving of that. Oh Allah, you give strength to those who are weak, you enrich those who are impoverished. Oh Allah, you give safety to those who are fearful. Oh Allah, we ask you to protect us, to guide us, to look down upon us with the eye of mercy. Allahumma afina wa tafbina wa hadna wa ansarna wa farij anna wal muslimin. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروا على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر.